my analysis on the report, it gave a average blood alcohol concentration of 0.08%. The duplicate analysis shows that it's a 0.080% on the first analysis and a 0.081% on the second analysis.
That exam, or withdraw that analysis, that would indicate the blood alcohol content in the blood at the time it was taken. Is that correct?
That is correct.
So that doesn't tell us what the blood alcohol was at the time of the collision, does it?
That is correct.
The collision approximately 3 hours before. Okay? Is that your understanding?
Yes.
I want you to assume that Ms. Grossman testified, or the evidence is, that at 4:30 to 5:30, she consumed, first she was at peak alcohol, she consumed one standard margarita, 1.5 ounces of tequila, and triple sec. I think the tequila 80 proof.
Okay.
Then between 5:30, or let's say, 5:30 and 6:50, she consumed another standard margarita, same ingredients. Okay.
Okay.
All right. I want you to further assume that the individual, female, weighing approximately 130 pounds. Now, if they're peak alcohol at the time, just make sure I ask you this right. Based on what was said was drank, is the blood alcohol that you found consistent with that?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that question?
Bad question. What I'm trying to get to is this. The blood alcohol that you have, there's no question in your mind that's what it was when you tested it, right?
Yes.
That's what, and that means that would be what it would be when it was drawn, and I believe that's 1017, same as when you tested it, right?
Yes. At the
And,
time of
and,
record.
and also, did you know that the Orange County Crime Lab did subsequent testing?
Yes.
Could you tell us your experience if you open a vial and things happen with the blood, whether there can be a change or dissipation in any way in the amount of the blood alcohol content?
Yes.
Tell
So,
us your knowledge about that.
so alcohol is volatile, so it will evaporate very fast. When a sample gets opened frequently, it's expected that the alcohol will decrease. When a different, for example, Orange County Crime Lab were to analyze it, because I was the initial individual who analyzed it before it was opened.
Okay. So would that be consistent with your understanding that Orange County blood alcohol, once it was done again, was a little less?
Yes, it would be consistent with the alcohol decreasing from when I initially analyzed it.
I'm going to go back to my question, see if I can make it appropriate here.
Do you mind if I take notes on this? Or do I?
Oh, no, I think it's okay.
Okay.
Do you have a piece of paper or do you want one?
I do.
Okay.
I just want to make sure I
Yes,
take
yes.
down the information.
So we're talking 130-pound female, one standard margarita, triple sec, 4:30 to 5:30. Second margarita, standard, tequila, triple sec, consumed between, let's just say 5:30 and close to 7, 10 to 7, let's say, 5 to 7, approximately.
So, 5 to 7 or 5:30 to?
First margarita, 4:30 to 5:30, standard
Okay.
margarita. Second margarita, 5:45 to 6:50, let's just say.
Okay, 5:45 to 6:50. And you said the first one is,
4:30 to 5:30,
and what was the percent alcohol?
say 80
80 proof?
tequila, and with the triple sec, which is less.
Okay, so the
So
second one was one margarita. What was the percentage alcohol?
Is it 80%?
Same.
What was the question?
The second drink?
Margarita, 2 margaritas. One 4:30, 5:30ish. The next one 5:45 to 6:50. Standard margaritas, tequila, triple sec. What do they call that? Margarita mix. There's no alcohol in that. I don't think.
So I need to know. So the first drink was 40% alcohol.
Peak alcohol.
No, but the first drink was 40% alcohol. And the second drink
Same.
is the same. Okay.
So my question is, would that be consistent, or what would you expect? Would you believe? Well, what calculations can you do from that?
So, it depends on your question.
Trying to get you to help me out here. I wasn't a double chemistry major, okay? Far from it.
My apologies.
All right. Is it consistent with what the blood alcohol was with what she said she drank?
Objection, vague, ambiguous.
Or
So if the person had 2 drinks, let's say it's, when you're talking about 2 drinks, you're talking about, let's say if it's a standard drink, if it's liquor, you're talking about a 1.5 ounce at 40% alcohol on average. And let's say, to make it easier for calculation purposes, 2 drinks, or 2 standard drinks, which is 1.5 ounce at 40% alcohol, which is liquor. And then you said that they had their last drink at 6:50 a.m.
Approximately.
approximately. And then you said that the time of the test was 3 hours after.
Yes.
Okay,
10:17.
10:17.
Assume they were in a collision 7 o'clock-ish. So at least 3 hours later, we had the evidence yesterday. I don't know where it is, but I think it was yesterday. It's 10:17 at the time of the
Right.
test that Ralph wrote this.
So at 10:17, the time of the blood draw, I analyzed it and I got a value of 0.08%. So now, if the individual is female, 130 pounds, what I can do is determine one drink, what the maximum amount of alcohol the person can have. If I can use my calculator to
Sure.
perform that calculation.
I can't help you.
So, if somebody who is female, 130 pounds, if they drink one standard drink, if you consider the standard drink is liquor, 1.5 ounce at 40% alcohol, the most that they can consume with one drink is 0.042%. That's the maximum BAC that they can have, considering it didn't get eliminated. Now with 2 standard drinks, that would be a 0.084%. That's the maximum that they can have with 2 standard drinks. Now, would that be consistent if the person drank at 6:50 their last drink, and then 3 hours later at 10:17 to have a result of 0.08%, based on my experience, it would not be consistent.
So would that be consistent with someone that had consumed more than the proverbial 2 drinks?
Objection, last foundation.
Overrule.
The individual would have to have more than 2 standard drinks.
Based on all the work you did in this case, your analysis, your report, your lag report,
Lab report?
lab, LAB report, is it your opinion that Mrs. Grossman was at or above the legal limit for impairment?
Objection, vague and ambiguous as to time.
Sustain.
Let me rephrase the question. Based on your testing, what did that show you?
My testing shows that the blood alcohol level was 0.08% at the time of draw.
And what does that mean in your mind?
At the time of draw, if the person is 0.08%, the 0.08% means to me that the person would not be able to operate a motor vehicle safely.
And they would be impaired.
At a 0.08%, they will be impaired to operate a motor vehicle safely.
And the higher the level, the more the impairment.
That's correct.
And the more drinks, the higher level, more impairment.
That is correct.
And when you're traveling at higher rate of speed, the impairment, does it become less or more?
Well, it depends on the alcohol level. It doesn't
But-
change based on the...
But a 0.8 versus someone that hasn't drank, how would you compare the, what did you say, the physical and mental in a person that hasn't drank alcohol versus a person that's at minimum 0.08 from blood taken 3 hours later?
Well, so if you're comparing between somebody who isn't under the influence of alcohol versus somebody who is under the influence of alcohol, anytime that somebody is at a 0.08%, they are mentally impaired in regards to their mental abilities. That means their judgment, their decision making, their ability to process information, their divided attention tasks. These are all impaired.
And that's your opinion in this case?
Yes.
Thank you, sir.
Why don't we take our afternoon break? Try to keep it right at 10 minutes. Do not talk about the case amongst yourselves or anyone else. present. You might be seated. Mr. Harris. Harris.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman.
Good afternoon.
I want just at the end of Mr. Panish's questions, you had said that at .08, she's impaired. Did I hear that correctly?
Yes, at 0.08%.
And that .08 in impairment, that was at 10:17 as of the time of the blood draw, correct?
At the time of blood draw, yes.
Okay. I want to put up exhibit number 59, please. And I want to pull out the section of the test results that you had. And you did two tests, and one was .08 and the other was .081,
Yes.
right? And then if you could pull out the sentence right after that and highlight it for me.
Let me just read it.
Yeah, if you can
If
read
you
that
don't
for
mind.
me, please.
Okay. The average value of the duplicate analysis with its expanded uncertainty is 0.080% plus or minus 0.004%.
Thank you. And so what that statement means is that the blood alcohol content falls anywhere between .076 and .084. True?
That is true.
And it also means that it's just as likely that the blood alcohol level was under .08 as it was over .08. True?
So what it means is that we have an uncertainty of measurement. That uncertainty of measurement shows an accuracy of a measurement. In the of a measurement,
It shows a what of a measurement?
an accuracy.
Accuracy.
So what that means is that if you measure you measure something and you get a number, there is a window where there's uncertainty to it. That uncertainty allows for accuracy. So in this case, our uncertainty based on different environment conditions, based on using the different tools that we have in the analysis, we found that our uncertainty is 4%. In this case, it would be 0.080% plus or minus 0.004.
And again, this is as of the time of the blood draw, correct?
Yes,
Which is, the blood draw is 3 hours before the accident, correct?
yes,
No.
Or 3 hours after the accident, I'm sorry.
yes.
Thank you. Okay. Now, your only role in this investigation was to analyze the alcohol, correct?
Yes,
And you testified that the majority of your work is analyzing blood and breath. Is that correct?
yes,
Okay. And you didn't do an analysis of any breath in this case, correct?
that is correct.
Your lab received the vials on October 2, 2020, correct?
I would have to look at the chain of custody to answer the question.
Thanks. Can you put up 58 for me?
Yes.
And then I believe you got the vials on October 5, is that right?
Yes.
Okay. And when you got the vials and you opened them up, did you notice that Rebecca's Grossman's name was not anywhere on the actual vials?
That's correct.
And is it the practice of the sheriff's department when they bring vials to your lab that they write on there the name of the individual whose blood is in the vials?
That is part of my training to the law enforcement personnel, is that to be consistent is that you want the subject's name along with 2 initials and the date of blood draw. However, because it's sealed, now it's up to the officer to testify on their behalf whether that blood sample comes from the individual that's named on the envelope.
You tested the blood alcohol level twice, correct?
Yes, that's part of our policy.
And the 2 tests that you did you use the same machine both times?
Yes,
And the 2 tests that you did you use the same methodology both times?
yes,
Anything you did different between the two tests that you did?
no.
Now, Mr. Panish had you go through the hypothetical and do some calculations. What I want to ask you is, were you using a formula to do that?
Yes.
And what formula did you use?
It's known as a a modified Whitmark equation.
Okay. And so it's a modification of the original Whitmark test equation, correct?
Yes,
And the result you get from doing the math, that is just an estimate, correct?
yes, it's an estimate of a female that is 130 pounds.
Right. And if you wanted to do it more exact, you would have to know other variables, correct?
Can you be more specific?
Sure. If you wanted to be more exact, for example, you would need to know what the stomach contents were for an individual, correct?
In order to do the calculation?
So you get your estimate, right? But in order to figure out what the exact number would be, you'd need to know some other things, true?
I just need to know the gender of the individual, the weight of the individual. In the Whitmark equation, we also use what is known as a rho factor. Rho factor is a number that corresponds to the movement of alcohol between blood and tissue. So for female, the rho factor on average is 0.55. So I use an average rho factor, considering the individual is 130 pounds, female, and then I determined if the person was a 0.08%, what is the number of drinks on average. So the number of drinks that I defined was a standard drink, which is, if it's liquor, it would be 1.5 ounce, 40% alcohol.
And in this case, do you know what the evidence is of the drinks that Ms. Grossman consumed?
I don't. I just base it on the standard drinks. But if you were to ask me specifically, then I can also calculate that.
Okay. And you don't know what the evidence is as to when Ms. Grossman consumed drinks, true?
That is correct.
When an individual consumes alcohol, there's a process that takes place, and I want to walk through that with you, absorbing it and eliminating it. Okay?
Okay.
All right. So an individual will consume alcohol, and then they begin to absorb that alcohol into their system. True?
Right. So to be more precise, the absorption of alcohol and the elimination of alcohol both occurs at the same time. However, the difference is that the rate of absorption and the rate of elimination will be different depending on where it is, whether there's still the alcohol began in the stomach and small intestine versus in the blood.
Okay. So let's just, to keep it simple, you have a person has one drink. Okay. They stop that drink. Their body then starts to absorb it. That's called the absorption period. True?
Right, so when they consume it, they're absorbing alcohol into the stomach. Or, let me rephrase this. When a person consumes alcohol, the alcohol goes into the stomach. Now, in the stomach, some of the alcohol will get absorbed. So, absorbing means that the alcohol is moving from the stomach or any of the organ into the bloodstream. So in this case, in the stomach, if it stays in the stomach, about 10% of it gets absorbed into the bloodstream. When you're consuming alcohol, because remember what I said, alcohol is volatile, while you're consuming it, and because the mouth is the largest opening of the body, about 10% of that gets absorbed, or, gets removed or gets eliminated. But the elimination is different. It means that the alcohol phase changes from liquid to gas. So in this case, it gets evaporated, and about 10% of that gets evaporated while you're drinking alcohol.
Okay. So the body absorbs it, and then you have what was described as the peak level, right?
Right, so the peak level means that that's the maximum amount of alcohol in the person after they consume the number of drink.
Okay. And then from the peak, you have this elimination. So if you had a graph, you'd have it going up, it would reach the maximum point, and then the elimination would start to go down. True?
Right, so it looks like a bell curve. So it goes up, that's where there's a high the alcohol is absorbing into the bloodstream. So the rate of absorption is very fast, so it's going up. The rate of elimination is very, very small, so you'll see it going up, and then at the highest level of the bell curve, that's where the rate is the same between absorption and elimination. And then it's coming down, that's where the elimination rate is going to be much, much larger or faster than the rate of absorption. So in that case, we called it the elimination phase of the alcohol curve.
Okay. And the absorption phase, how quickly or slowly somebody absorbs, there's various factors that go into that. True?
Yes.
Okay, and those factors are the sex of the individual. True?
I don't know if it's also male or female. I know definitively that what's in your stomach also will depend on what changes your rate of absorption. So if you have an empty stomach, your rate of absorption into the bloodstream will be much, much faster than if the stomach has food in it. And then the type of food, whether it's food that has more fat, it'll take longer to absorb the alcohol into the bloodstream.
Okay, so the stomach contents, that's one factor that would create that absorption. How about a person's metabolism?
It's not so much as the content of the food, the type of food, the time also changes the rate of absorption.
And you're referring to the time that they take to consume?
So what I mean is that the rate of absorption changes between morning to noon to evening with the same individual.
So you're talking about the time of the day then?
Right, the time of the day. So the rate of absorption changes. That's why there's no fixed rate of a person absorbing into the bloodstream.
Okay. Now, Mr. Panish gave you a hypothetical that somebody who stops drinking at 6:50 p.m. Isn't it true that 20 minutes later at 7:10 that person's still going to be absorbing that alcohol?
Yes.
And on that bell curve, we talked about their level of alcohol concentration would still be rising.
There will still be alcohol in the stomach.
Okay. And since the person would still be rising and absorbing it, you're unable to calculate what the blood alcohol level would be, correct?
Can
Sure.
you be more elaborate on that?
Somebody stops having, under Mr. Panish's hypothetical, somebody stops having the drink at 6:50.
Yes.
20 minutes later, you would be unable to determine what the blood alcohol level is. True?
That is true.
And so you're not telling this jury what Ms. Grossman's blood alcohol level was at 7:10 on the night of the accident. True?
That's correct.
Last area for you. You've done a lot of studies on the correlation test and made observations on intoxication and impairment. True?
I have observed correlation studies. I was the observer, but I have read numerous correlation studies.
And you've observed field sobriety tests and been involved in that. True?
I have observed field sobriety tests.
And in this case, have you viewed the field sobriety of Ms. Grossman?
No.
Okay. You were not asked to review the field sobriety and offer an opinion based on the field sobriety test?
I'm not an expert in field sobriety tests.
Thank you. That's all the questions I have.
Okay. Sir, I didn't ask you to do anything in this case. You're not hired by me, are you?
No.
You were hired by whom in this case?
Nobody.
Right. And who were you working for in this case?
The County of Los Angeles.
So, that question about, well, your test was at 10, withdraw the question. The question that the blood was drawn at 10:17 and the accident happened at, let's just say, 7 in that 3-hour window. Remember those questions counsel asked you?
Yes.
Is there any question in your mind that if Miss Grossman had no more alcohol and no food, that her blood alcohol content would have been higher than what it was 3 hours later?
Jackson Last Foundation.
Overruled.
Did you follow the question?
So if we're talking about this 2 drinks still,
Well, go ahead. Go ahead. You answer.
I'm sorry.
So, were you asking me a question?
Yes.
Okay. Was I still? Yes. I'm still
So-
talking. Assume that. Whatever Miss Grossman said. Can you say, or am I wrong, that somebody stopped drinking 3 hours later if they had no more alcohol and they've had no food, the alcohol content will be down?
It's also vague.
Why don't you fix the starting point of your 3 hours?
Okay. Counsel just said, oh, well, that blood alcohol that you took of .08, which is over the legal limit, correct?
Yes.
And it's still your opinion, no matter all those questions he had, that Miss Grossman was under the influence of alcohol and impaired at the time she hit the 2 boys and caused their death.
Objection, misstates testimony.
Stay.
Is that your opinion, sir, that Miss Grossman, while driving her motor vehicle on the night in question, was impaired and under the influence of alcohol?
I wouldn't be able to give you an opinion. I can only give you an opinion on the level of alcohol.
The level of alcohol that you tested was above the legal limit, and in your opinion, someone operating a motor vehicle at that level is impaired.
Yes,
And their ability to operate a motor vehicle and see pedestrians and travel at high speeds is compromised.
yes, at a 0.08%.
And I think you said something like, if you're a low, I don't know if you said 04, but something, what did you say? There's a 5 times higher chance of being in a collision. You remember that? You said something about
Yes.
that? Tell
So-
us that.
So the range is somebody having an accident while under the influence of alcohol begins at an 0.04%. At 0.06%, the likelihood is twice as much. At 0.08, it's 3 times likely, and at 0.1, it's 5 times as likely, and then it increases exponential after that.
Right. So if Ms. Grossman was higher than a 0.08 at the time it occurred, not 3 hours later, the chances of an accident are increased more than the 3 times at 0.08.
Objection, incomplete hypothetical.
Overall.
It depends on the level of alcohol.
Okay. But it's not getting better. It's not making you a better driver drinking tequila and going 73 or 80 miles an hour after consuming alcohol, is it?
Well, if the alcohol's in the individual's system, and if I know what the level of alcohol is, then I can determine whether the person is impaired.
Does a person get more safe, more aware, more ability to move their vehicle and perceive the more alcohol you drink, or does it get less?
It gets,
Objection beyond the scope.
Overall.
it would be less.
The more you drink, the harder it is to safely operate a vehicle at a high speed.
The higher the alcohol concentration in the blood, the
So
more
back,
impaired you are.
back to Ms. Grossman. If she had the blood test at 10:17, you with me?
Yes,
Accident approximately 7 o'clock. You with me?
yes,
You take the test. It's your testimony that when they draw the blood, and by the way, how do they draw the blood? Or withdraw that. What is the best methodology to determine someone's blood alcohol content? Is it a breath test or a blood alcohol test?
Objection beyond the scope.
Overall.
they're both good.
They're both good. Okay.
Yes,
So, somebody operating a motor vehicle in an impaired state, that would be in violation of 23-152 of the Vehicle Code of the State of California.
is that a question?
Yes, is that true?
I believe it depends on the level.
08 or above.
Yes.
Maybe you can't answer that. You could tell me, but I'm trying to understand. The test is taken 3 hours later. Okay? We agree on that from when the incident occurred. Okay?
Yes, the blood draw and the test on that
And we
blood draw.
assume that the person, and the testimony is, had no more alcohol. Okay? You with me?
Okay,
No food. You
Okay.
with me?
yes.
Is it possible? Well, wouldn't you expect the blood alcohol to have been higher in the 3 hours before the test was, before the blood was drawn?
Objection, incomplete hypothetical, lacks foundation.
Overall.
It depends.
What are the factors?
So it depends based on the drinking pattern. When the person had last drink, and then when that individual is driving. So you have to consider, is the alcohol still absorbing into the bloodstream? and then how much alcohol, even though the person is in the, regardless if it's the absorptive phase, peak, or elimination phase, if you don't know when a person had reached peak alcohol level, you wouldn't know where on the alcohol curve the person is at.
Okay.
And I wouldn't be able to perform
Fair
any type of
But in this
calculation.
case, there's no question in your mind, based on the work you did, that Miss Grossman was operating her motor vehicle on September 29th, 2020, while impaired on the roadway in California.
Objection to state's testimony.
Overruled.
My opinion was that at a 0.08%, the individual would not be able to operate a motor vehicle safely.
Okay, thank you.
Questions from the jury? Okay.
Mr. Kemp, based on all the analysis you've done in this case, you could not tell us that Ms. Grossman was impaired at 7:10 p.m. on the night of the accident, true?
Well, the impairment is different, so it's based on the alcohol level. I couldn't tell you what the alcohol level is at the time of drive.
Okay, thank you.
So, Mr. Kim,
Yes, sir.
when you did your calculation, what was it that you calculated?
I determined the number of drinks based on the known alcohol concentration.
No, not the number of drinks. What did you actually calculate? Because you were given the number of drinks.
Yes.
That was one of the factors. What did you calculate?
I calculated the number of drinks.
No.
Maybe, can I ask you, I think I know what you're trying to get at.
No, I don't.
No. When you did your calculation,
Yes.
what does that calculation tell you?
It tells me. Okay, so when I calculate it, I base it on one standard drink and the gender of the individual. Based on that, I determine with one drink what the alcohol level would have been for an individual, the maximum amount.
Right. So you
blood
calculated
alcohol
the
concentration.
alcohol level.
Yes,
That's as in the BAC.
yes,
And that was for 10:15.
no,
At the time of the blood draw, at the time of the consumption.
no. It's
Which one?
It's about if the person had one standard drink. If the person is female, 130 pounds. If they consume one standard drink, what's the maximum amount of alcohol they would have?
When?
Anytime. As long as
Anytime after consumption.
when they consume that one alcohol, the maximum they can have is, what is the maximum that they can have with the one standard drink? So in this case, if they drank one standard drink and they're female and they weigh 130 pounds, they would have to have at maximum a 0.042% alcohol,
And then with 2 drinks, it was
0.084% alcohol.
when do you get to that maximum?
The maximum is an ideal situation where the person isn't eliminating alcohol. So that ideal situation is if the person had never eliminated alcohol, the most that they can have is with 2 standard drinks is a 0.084%. That's it.
And that's the assumption you were given was that the alcohol consumption started at between 4:30 and 5.
That was one of the drink.
Okay, and then the second one was 5:45 to 6:50.
Yes.
So, did your and then you did your calculation based on alcohol consumption occurring during those periods of time?
No.
No?
No.
Were those times relevant?
No. It wasn't.
All right, then I'll turn it back to the lawyers. I don't understand what you did.
What I was asking you, Mr. Kim, was based on Ms. Grossman's alleged drinking pattern, what the maximum blood alcohol would be without any dissipation or absorption. Do you recall that?
Yes.
And what you told us what the maximum would be without anything being absorbed. And any human being is going to absorb some of the alcohol, correct?
Eliminating.
Eliminate.
Right.
Dissipate. What's the term used?
Dissipating, eliminating, evaporating.
So, no matter who you are, no matter how much you drink, physics is determining how the alcohol absorbs.
Are we talking about absorption or elimination?
I'm just trying to understand. Like I told you, man, chemistry was not my deal. Let me do it this way. My question when I was asking you that was, based on the claim of the two drinks,
Yes.
and which is resulting blood alcohol, and you don't believe that that individual's testimony that they drank two drinks is consistent with the results you had, correct?
It's not consistent with the drinking pattern and the result that I had.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. And I think you may have answered this just now, but let me try as well. This is a juror question. For a 30-pound female, how long after consuming alcohol would the top blood alcohol level be reached?
Well, it depends, as I
And
mentioned before.
By the way, she makes a bell curve with a question mark.
Well, not necessarily. So the absorption of alcohol, it really depends. Again, with the time of day for that individual, it depends on whether the person had empty stomach, food in their stomach. However, if they had one drink within 30 minutes, I consider that to be social drinking. So it takes them from 0 to 30 minutes to reach peak alcohol, meaning that they completely absorb the alcohol and the alcohol's in their system.
Just one other question. In the correlation studies simulations that you talked about, does it simulate unexpected events? And if so, what did the correlation studies show? I think you want to add for reaction time for unexpected events.
So we don't measure unexpected time. We just want to see how the person had actually, what's the difference between when they performed, whether it's driving, how they performed before alcohol is introduced into the system versus when alcohol is introduced into the system. And what we see is consistency that when there's alcohol in the person's system, there is impairments in the mental abilities. And what's important is these mental abilities are significant in playing a role in operating a motor vehicle safely. The ability to process information, the judgment, the decision making, the divided attention tasks.
All right. Any other questions? Okay, sir, you're excused. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Kim.
yoga time, my friend. All right, call your next witness.
Thank you, Your Honor. The plaintiff call Officer Garrett Smith.
Please remain standing and raise your right hand, please. Do you solemnly state the testimony you may give in the cause now pending before this court to be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Please be seated. And if you can state and spell your name for the record, please.
Garrett Smith, Garrett Smith.
Proceed.
All right. Good afternoon, officer.
Afternoon.
What is your current occupation?
I work for the California Highway Patrol,
How long have you been with the CHP?
27 years.
And where is your current assignment?
My current assignment is the Caneo Inspection Facility, which is in Thousand Oaks, California.
Where did you work before that?
Before that, I worked at the West Valley CHP and Woodland Hills.
Did you receive any specialized training beyond the basic academy training related to vehicle inspections?
Yes, I did. In 2006, I went to a 40-hour inspection course for motorcycle inspections, and then in 2017, I went to a 40-hour class in Sacramento to do mechanical inspections on automobiles, cars, and trucks.
And with respect to that training with inspecting vehicles, can you give us a sense of what that training involved?
It's an in-depth analysis looking into the different segments of a car that can rule out. We inspected a vehicle to check to make sure there's no mechanical deficiencies or any issues that could contribute or cause a crash.
And that's a course that you have to specifically sign up for. It's not a routine or regular part of ordinary academy training.
Yes, I signed up and was able to go.
About how many vehicle inspections have you performed to date?
Approximately 40.
All right. And how about as of the year 2020? Can you give us an estimate about them?
36. I haven't done many since then.
And have you testified in depositions and in court about your vehicle inspections?
Yes, I have.
Can you give us an estimate about how many times total?
6.
And is it common before you testify, in particular, you testify in court, to meet and speak with lawyers who may be asking you questions?
That's fairly common, yes.
And is it common that when you meet and speak with a lawyer before you testify that you're informed of certain rules and orders you're required to follow?
Yes, correct.
All right. And then did you and I, without talking about what you and I spoke about, but did you and I meet and speak before you coming to give testimony today?
Yes, we did.
And did I inform you of certain court orders and rules that were required to follow?
Yes, you did.
What's the purpose of a vehicle's inspection in context of a traffic collision?
Vehicle inspection in context of a traffic collision is to rule out any defects or abnormalities. To rule out any issues with the vehicle, and I look in 6 specific areas. I look at the interior, the throttle, the steering, the suspension, and the braking system. Those are the critical items that we look at to check their look for deficiencies, damage, or any pre-collision abnormalities.
And does that inspection that you're describing, does it also involve, if possible, getting inside the vehicle to check its operation?
Yes, when on occasion, if the vehicle is drivable, I do a road test at the conclusion of my mechanical inspection.
And is generating a written report of your inspection standard protocols?
Yes, it is, every single time.
And then when you perform an inspection, you complete a report, do you submit your report for review and approval?
Yes, I submit to my supervisor who reviews it, sends it back with any corrections that need be, and then it's finalized and submitted.
All right. And with respect to this particular case here in this particular vehicle, how did you first learn you were being assigned to inspect the vehicle?
I was notified by my immediate supervisor that the sheriff's department was handling a fatal investigation, and they reached out to the Highway Patrol for some additional expertise in mechanical inspection.
Do you recall your supervisor's name at that time?
Yes, I do.
And were you told at that time the identities of any of the individuals involved in the collision?
No.
And before conducting your inspection and writing your report, had you heard anything about this fatal collision at all?
Up until me being notified about this, I have never heard of it.
What date did you perform your inspection?
On December 4th, 2020.
And where did that inspection take place?
It was at the tow yard, the Sheriff's Department impound tow yard, Mid-City Terrace Towing in downtown LA.
Are you familiar with that facility?
No, I've never been to that facility prior to this date.
All right. When you went, was it based on what you personally observed? What is it? Was it a secure facility?
Yes, a locked, secure facility, typical police impound facility. It was indoors and secure.
I mean, can anyone off the street walk up to City Terrace Towing and say, hey, let me check out that car?
Absolutely not.
You have to have special permission.
Correct.
Was anyone present during your inspection other than you?
There was one gentleman, he was worked for the tow company, let me in, but as far as conducting the inspection, it was just me.
With respect to the vehicle you inspected, can you tell us the year, make, and model?
It was a 2018 Mercedes GLE 43.
And what was the license plate number?
8 B as in boy, H as in Henry, 031.
And what was the general condition of the vehicle when you arrived to inspect it?
The general condition, it was actually in better condition than I thought, based on my training experience of other fatalities I've investigated into mechanical inspections. I was pleasantly surprised that the vehicle was drivable. The damage was fairly minor, in my opinion. And what else? Did you want me to keep going? Expand
No,
on
so
this?
with respect to the vehicle itself, were you able to start it or do you have to jump it?
At the conclusion of my inspection, I did attempt to start it. The battery was dead, so with help from the employee from the tow yard, he gave me some jump cables. I was able to jump start the vehicle, get it running, and perform my drive test.
And the drive test, what's the purpose of doing that drive test?
The purpose of the drive test is to drive the vehicle at speed to see if, when I say speed, I only took it up about 15 miles an hour. Make sure the steering wheel works, the wheels and tires track appropriately, the brake system brakes properly, and the vehicle accelerates and decelerates as it should.
And were you able to perform that driving test without any incident whatsoever?
Correct, without any incident.
And with respect to your inspection protocol, do you look at and review the interior of the vehicle?
Yes, that is one of the critical items that I inspect.
And with respect to the interior, you look at things like the gear shift selector, headlight switch, hazard light switch, things of that nature?
Exactly.
With respect to your review of the interior of the vehicle, did you notice anything about it that was unusual or extraordinary?
Not out of the ordinary for a traffic collision. I did notice that the airbags were deployed and the seat belt was locked in the extended position. So that tells me that the driver was seated and belted at the time of the collision, and the belt locks actually in its position. It won't retract after that.
And then you also, I think you told us a moment ago that you noticed that the airbags had deployed.
The driver airbag was deployed, yes.
And what about the condition of the windshield? Do you recall the condition of that when you inspected it?
I noticed that the windshield was intact.
And then did you inspect the throttle system?
Yes, I did.
And the throttle system relates, at least in part, to the gas pedal?
Correct.
All right. And how is the throttle activated in this vehicle?
This throttle was activated by wire. Some people call it throttle by wire, electronically actuated. So when I pushed the throttle, it depressed as it should, and it retracted to its natural position as it should.
So then the throttle system, any issues whatsoever based on your inspection and drive test?
No issues with the throttle.
Did you inspect the steering system?
Yes, I did.
And what type of steering system does this particular vehicle have?
Had electronic rack and pinion style steering. The steering wheels tracked fully to the right, fully to the left, as they should. I didn't observe any abnormalities or issues with the steering system.
And that included the tire rod assemblies and the sway bar end links?
Correct.
No
Those were
issues whatsoever?
No issues with the steering system.
Did you, as part of your inspection, look at the suspension system?
Yes, I did.
And what type of suspension system is on this vehicle?
It had this Mercedes particular model had independent self-leveling air suspension that had an electronic selector for different settings that the driver could switch. All these components I visually inspected and were in good working order. No abnormalities noted.
How about as it relates to the brake system? Did you inspect the brake system on the vehicle?
Yes, I inspected the brake system, the brake booster, which was located under the hood. There was no leaks of hydraulic or brake fluid at the booster. There was no leaks in at the wheels, they call the wheel cylinders or the calipers. The brakes were in good working order with no issues.
And what type of brake system does this vehicle have?
It has a four-wheel disc and a left brake system, disc style brakes.
And so based on your inspection and your test drive of the vehicle, do you believe that someone operating that vehicle, if they tried to apply the brakes would have worked as they were intended?
Absolutely. After my inspection was concluded, I drove the vehicle about approximately 15 miles an hour and applied the brakes firm or hard, and they tracked and braked appropriately. The vehicle didn't pull to the right or the left.
And then with respect to just closing out the braking system, do you believe there was any issues whatsoever with the braking system based on your inspection?
No issues with the brake system.
And did you inspect the tires and the wheels?
Yes, I did. The tire and wheel system was limited. I was unable to locate the safety lug nut lock, so I was able to remove the wheels. So I did a visual inspection of the wheels and some of the brake components as well.
With respect to the tires that were on there in terms of their size, were they the original factory installed tires?
They were factory size, correct.
All right, so nothing unusual about the size of the tires?
Nothing unusual.
What kind of tires were they?
They're Continental Conti Sport Contact radial tires, 22-inch wheels.
Are they performance tires?
They're considered a performance tire, but that's standard on this kind of vehicle.
And what's the speed rating of those tires?
Speed rating would be 168 miles an hour.
What is the speed rating?
Tire manufacturers generally rate a tire. For example, H is, I believe, about 100 miles an hour, all the way up to Z, which is the highest rating of tire for the faster, more performance vehicles.
Like on this one?
This has a Z-rated tire. Yes, that's the highest there is.
And based on your inspection, was there any issues whatsoever with, as it relates to the tires and the wheels in this case?
The wheels were stock wheels. There was no issue with the wheels that I noticed. The only thing I did notice is that the right rear tire was at or below the legal limit in California, which is 2/32. The right rear wheel was 1/32 on the sides, and then 0/32, so pretty much bald in the center. Just on the right rear wheel. The other wheels had a little bit better tread, but that's it.
Okay. And then with respect to this vehicle, did you look into whether there were any recalls of it?
I did. That's when I went back to my station after the inspection was concluded. I did notice a recall. It had to do with the emergency calling system. Not really in the scope of what I was not really concerned of mine as far as it didn't affect the brakes, suspension, tires, and whatnot.
Okay, so in other words, the recall that you did observe, in your opinion, based on what you know and your background training experience, did not play any role or factor in the condition of this vehicle when you inspected it?
Correct.
And did you take photographs during the inspection?
Yes, I did.
Do you recall how many?
I took 43 photographs.
All right, let's look at some of those. Let's publish 197-1. All right. Officer, can you see the photographs that are on your screen?
Yes, I can.
Okay, so I want to go through them, and I'll just ask you some questions as we go through it. First of all, this first photograph, did you take this?
I believe so.
All right, and is this the vehicle that you identified for us, that you inspected?
Yes. Yes, it is.
Okay, and so let's look at 197-2, 3. Let's go to, first off, looking at 3, is that the front license plate that was associated with the vehicle you inspected?
That is correct.
Okay, let's go to 7. And let's go to 8. 12. 13. 14. 15. 16. 17. 18. 19, 20, 21, and in particular this one, that's the VIN number that's associated with this car?
What we're looking at there is the federal label, which has the tire size and the weight of the vehicle, manufacture date. And that says it conforms to vehicle safety standards for this country.
Let's go to 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, and 31. And in particular, this image, 197-31, do you recognize that to be the steering wheel?
Yes, the driver airbag deployed.
And does it appear to you that the airbag, during your inspection, had been cut away or removed at that point?
Yeah, it was done. These pictures are the condition I found when I found the car.
Do you know whether that was done to access the airbag control module to cut away the airbag?
I don't know.
Okay. With respect to all the photos that we looked at, did they fairly and accurately depict the Grossman vehicle as you personally observed it during your inspection?
Yes, it does.
And do you recall about when you completed your report of your inspection?
I don't recall the exact date when I finished the report.
All right. Well, did ultimately you submit your report to your supervisor?
I did.
Was that Sergeant Parsons?
Sergeant Parsons, yes.
All right. And did he review it and sign off on it and approve it?
Yes, he did, and then he forwarded to the Sheriff's Department.
And did you believe the methodology and process you used in performing the inspection and creating the report were accurate and reliable?
Yes.
After you're completing your full inspection, what was your overall opinion about the mechanical condition of this vehicle?
it was my opinion based on what I saw and documented that there was no mechanical defects or deficiencies that were a contributing factor to this crash.
And did you observe during your inspection any pre-existing mechanical defects or damages or deficiencies whatsoever?
No, I didn't.
Part of your report mentions damage that could be related to the recovery of the vehicle. Do you recall that?
Yes, that's a sentence I put in there. I was not at the collision, so all the damage I'm seeing is from due to the collision or the recovery or the recovery of the vehicle.
As it relates to recovery, what does that mean?
Recovery of the vehicle would be it being towed from the collision scene to the tow yard. Sometimes these vehicles have to be recovered from, say, over the side or a rollover. Those do incur more damage during the recovery process to get it onto the tow truck to get it to the tow yard. So that's why that is a sentence I have in there.
All right.
I put that in all my reports.
But based on what you just described, as it relates to damage relating to recovery, do you believe you saw any damage relating to recovery of this particular vehicle?
No damage, in my opinion, due to any kind of recovery.
And so, with respect to the damage that you personally observed, you ultimately concluded that it was caused by the auto versus pedestrian collision that occurred on September 29th, 2020?
Yes, I did.
All right, thank you.
Yes, Mr. Sorry. Good afternoon, Officer Garrett. How are you? Oh,
Hi.
Garrett, Mr. Smith, sorry.
Hi.
Do you go by officer or?
Officer's fine.
All right,
Officer's
thank you.
fine.
Was it Officer Sheen or Detective Sheen that asked you to do this work?
He reached out to our department, and my supervisor directed me to do this inspection. Correct.
Understood. You mentioned that the tow truck, or somebody from the towing company was present, is that right?
That is correct.
Do you know whether or not that was the person who actually towed the vehicle there?
I do not know that.
Did you ever learn anything about how the vehicle was towed? Any details about that?
No, I did.
Okay. All right. I notice on your report you listed the odometer. You recall that?
Yes, it's on my report.
And the odometer reading was 42,241 miles, correct?
42,249.
Yeah, 42, what did I say, 249?
I said 241.
Oh, sorry. Was it
But
40?
It's 249. Yeah.
249, so sorry, yeah. And that would also correlate with 67,990 kilometers, correct? I won't make you do the math.
Sure. Yes.
Okay. All right, fair enough. And that was your understanding of the mileage on the vehicle at the time of the collision, correct?
Well, object to the full speculation.
Yeah. That.
Over. You can answer.
Thank you. I just document when I get to the tow yard the pictures, and then I document, so I can't speak on anything else on what happened between the collision and the time I looked at the vehicle.
Okay. Now, the key fob was already in the vehicle when you got there, is that correct?
Yes, I believe it's in the center console.
And then you mentioned that the battery was dead when you inspected the vehicle, is that right?
That's correct.
Did you learn when it was that the battery became dead?
No, that's not a concern of mine. It is fairly common for vehicles that sit quite a long time like this. When I go to inspect them, the battery's dead. I really didn't think anything of it.
Okay. And you were able to, well, let me ask you this. If the battery was dead, would it be your understanding that nothing electrical in the vehicle could be used until that battery was then jump-started?
Well, there was enough power to crank over the engine, so perhaps, say, the interior lights could be still on, or a little light or something could be on, which is draining the battery beyond the level of able to start it. So I don't recall if the battery was completely dead, where everything was dead,
Okay.
or if I just couldn't start it, get it
But-
cranked over.
But you had to jump start it.
I did.
Okay. In order to roll down the windows, or let me strike that. In order to have the windows rolled up, if they were down, would the battery need to be working?
It'd have to be working enough to hold the window up. Yeah.
And I think that you said in your report that when you saw the vehicle, the windows were up, correct?
I'd have to review my report or look at the
It's under the section interior. And I'm having a little trouble hearing you. If you wouldn't mind getting a little closer to the microphone. Thank you.
I don't see where in my report it talks about all the other windows were closed and intact. Yes.
Yes, okay, so
So yes.
the
Thank you.
windows were up.
Yes.
Now, did you ever see any pictures of the vehicle right after the accident at the scene?
No, the first time I laid eyes on this vehicle is when I saw it at the tow yard.
Understood, okay. If we could pull up the scene vehicle that, I forgot what number it was, 90? If you could pull that up, please. Thank you. Okay, so we want to see the side view of the windows. Is that the one? Okay, okay, there you go, yeah. All right, so can you see on the Exhibit 90-3 that the windows are down in the vehicle?
Yes, I do.
And so for someone to raise the windows so that they're closed, there would need to be power to the vehicle, correct?
Certain amount of power, yes. I also noticed that the infotainment on the center, in the center on the dash is on too.
Okay, so do you have any understanding as to why the battery would have been dead by the time that you inspected it?
When I say dead, I'm saying in terms of it's unable to crank enough amps to start it. There could be enough power to roll down a window or turn on the navigation or dash area.
Do you know if the vehicle was driven after it left the scene of the accident before you inspected it?
I do not know that answer.
Would you expect if the vehicle was driven that the mileage would change on the vehicle from the time of the crash to when you saw it?
Yeah, it'd be expected.
So when you saw the vehicle, you noticed that there were different modes of this vehicle, but the vehicle was in the comfort mode, correct?
Correct.
This vehicle also could go into the sport mode, right?
Correct.
And the sport mode, is that a mode that if you're driving in the sport mode, it gives the car a different sound?
The speculation foundation.
If you know.
Sport mode generally, it perhaps could do a different sound. Also, it changes the shifting points and some other parameters of the car for more performance.
Can I look at your...
Go ahead.
Sorry.
Use it anyway.
What's this thing say? What did you do with this?
Get yours. Go ahead, you can
Oh, anyway, it's laying down. Okay.
I'm sorry, based on the response, I'm going to sustain the objection. Speculation. Jury will disregard.
Do you recall giving prior sworn testimony regarding the sound that the sport mode makes when the car is being driven in it?
I do not recall.
Do you recall that you said that the sport mode changes the gearing and the way this sounds, even when the car is driving?
That sounds like something I would say, yes.
Okay, all right. And the change in the sound, is that kind of like a revving sound?
Foundation speculation.
Over.
Sport mode, it could change the sound, depends on the make and manufacturer. But certain cars, yeah, it changes to a louder sound.
A louder sound? Is it like a revving sound?
Speculation. Foundation.
Over.
When you say revving sound, it makes me think of revving as far as RPMs of the vehicle, and that'd be, you'd have to accelerate for that. So, my understanding of sport mode would be it is performance based. It's a louder sound and quiet or normal or comfort mode. Different shift points, for example. Sometimes the suspension, the steering are tighter, the car makes it a little bit lower. These are all characteristics indicative of a sport mode for a vehicle.
And this car, when you found it, was in comfort mode, correct?
Yes.
Now, when you noticed that, when you inspected the vehicle, were there lights missing from the right side of the vehicle, the headlight and the fog light underneath?
Yes, I noticed that. It's depicted in my photos as well.
Let's put up Exhibit 197. And so if we zoom in on the right side of the vehicle, does this appear the way the vehicle looked to you when you inspected it?
Yes.
Okay. And do you see how the headlight and the fog light have been removed from the right side of the vehicle?
Hold on. Objection misstates the evidence. And there's objection foundation.
Well, when you inspected the vehicle, the headlight on the right and the fog light on the right underneath were not there, correct?
That is correct.
All right. Now let's go back to the scene photo of the vehicle, which I think is, which exhibit is that, 60? 90? Okay. Thank you. If we go to the front of the vehicle, actually, if we go to 68, I think. Yeah. All right. Now, if we can zoom in on the right side of the vehicle, and this is on the scene. The light and the fog light are there on the vehicle, correct? They're not missing. True?
Foundation.
Over.
The headlight is there in this photo. I believe down below the headlight. I'm not sold that it's a fog light. I think that's just a plastic valance or cover. It looks like, but it could be a fog light.
But it's there, correct?
It is, whatever it is there.
It is there. All right, thank you. And could we just leave that up a little bit, one more second? And do you notice that if you zoom in on the right side of there we go, a little bit, I don't know, it gets a little fuzzy. You notice that that particular fog lamp does not have a chrome cover around it, does it?
It does not.
Okay, thank you. Are you familiar that there was a fog lamp cover that was marked as debris at the scene as evidence number 7 by Deputy Mejia?
I do not know that.
And so would it be fair to say that you don't know what happened to that chrome fog lamp cover?
Foundation.
Over.
I do not know what happened. I was not at the scene. The highway patrol wasn't at the scene. I was just there for the vehicle inspection at the tow yard.
Now, do you recall, by the way, did you get a chance to review your report before coming today?
Yes.
Okay, good. Do you recall that someone had taken off the front of the passenger bumper when you, it wasn't there when you inspected the vehicle?
Like I said, when I arrived, I didn't know the condition of the vehicle prior, so if something was missing, I wouldn't know it'd be missing or taken prior to my arrival, or if that was part of the crash. So, yes, there was the right front headlight assembly was missing. It wasn't my concern as to where it was or who took it. It just wasn't there when I took my photos and did my inspection.
And speaking of the bumper, do you recall giving prior sworn testimony that someone had taken off the front of the passenger bumper?
Well, when I opened the hood, it appeared like someone had been in there. Even the engine cover has been dislodged, as it shows in my pictures. So that leads me to believe maybe something has been taken or something.
And these things that you noted that had been taken, were they there in the towing, the city Terrence towing area? Did you see them?
I didn't see him.
Okay.
I don't remember seeing him.
I'm going to assume you have more than 2 minutes.
Oh, yes.
Okay. All right. We'll take our break for the day. You're not talking about the case amongst yourselves or with anyone else. We'll see you back here at 9:15.
From order back, Your Honor.
You probably...